In the day's other news, former special counsel Robert Mueller will testify publicly before Congress on July 17th. He has agreed to appear under subpoena before the U.S. House Judiciary and Intelligence Committees. Judiciary Chair Jerry Nadler said today the testimony will have, quote, a profound impact.
It's very important that the American people hear from Mr. Mueller as to what he did find, what the results of that two-year investigation were. And not have to rely on the misinformation spread by the Attorney General or on reading the report, which most people won't do.
Mueller has insisted he will not go beyond what was in his report on Russian contacts with the Trump campaign and allegations of obstruction by President Trump. For his part, the president criticized the planned hearings and repeated his long-standing complaints.
At what point does it end? It's a disgrace. No obstruction, no collusion. Now, the Democrats want a do-over. This is just a hoax. I call it the witch hunt, but it's really a hoax. It's the greatest hoax ever in the history of our country.
Mr. Trump also claimed falsely that Mueller broke the law by deleting emails and messages from two former FBI employees who disparaged the president. In fact, Mueller did not delete any emails or messages. We'll look at all of this later in the program. The president said today that he hopes for a good conversation with Russia's President Vladimir Putin at the G20 summit in Japan. Mr. Trump left for the summit today. As he did, the Kremlin confirmed the meeting is set for Friday. A spokesman said the talks are expected to include arms control, Iran, and other issues. The U.S. and North Korea are said to be discussing a possible third summit between President Trump and North Korea's leader, Kim Jong-un. The president of South Korea said today that behind-the-scenes talks are underway. The last Trump-Kim summit was in February, but it failed to make any headway on abolishing the North's nuclear arsenal. White House counselor Kellyanne Conway now faces a congressional subpoena over allegations that she repeatedly violated the Hatch Act. The law limits political activity by government employees. The U.S. House Oversight Committee issued the subpoena today after Conway failed to appear voluntarily. That set off a storm over her criticism of Democratic presidential candidates.
Contrary to claims from Ms. Conway and President Trump, this is not a conspiracy to silence her or restrict her First Amendment rights. This is an effort to enforce federal law.
She's not asking for contributions. She's not asking for anything other than, she's not even campaigning. She has a microphone stuck in her face and she is responding. You've done the same thing, Mr. Chairman.
The White House has argued that Conway is immune from having to give congressional testimony. The defense began presenting its case today for Navy SEAL Edward Gallagher, accused of murdering an Islamic State prisoner in Iraq. The special operations chief is being court-martialed in San Diego. Defense attorneys have insisted that former colleagues of Gallagher who testified against him were lying. In Afghanistan, 2 U.S. service members were killed on a patrol. Officials gave no details. It happened a day after Secretary of State Mike Pompeo visited Kabul and voiced hope for a peace deal by September 1st. More than 2,400 U.S. troops have died in Afghanistan since the U.S. invasion in 2001. Western and Central Europe roasted today in a record heat wave that showed no sign of breaking. In Rome, the stench of rotting garbage filled the streets amid ongoing problems with trash collection. In Munich, Germany, families played with pets in public fountains to cool off from readings of 98 degrees. And in Madrid, temperatures topped 100 degrees, quieting the bustle of restaurant terraces.
It is true that the number of customers has fallen due to high temperatures. People don't want to cope with the terrace in 100 degrees. Inside, there is air conditioning, and there are a few of us brave ones that have to go outside. But overall, the terraces in these heat waves lose between 70 to 80% of the public.
Meanwhile, fears of buckling pavement forced officials in Germany to post speed limits on parts of the autobahns that usually have none. The United Nations Women's Agency has found violence against women is pervasive in their own homes. The report says that in 2017, worldwide, 137 women were killed every day by a family member. Officials acknowledge great progress in ending gender discrimination, but they say there are also efforts to curtail women's rights. A top official at the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency resigned today in the face of a congressional investigation. Assistant Administrator Bill Wareham helped roll back Obama-era curbs on carbon emissions, but there are allegations that he improperly aided former clients in the oil and chemical industries. And on Wall Street, stocks had an up-and-down day. The Dow Jones Industrial Average fell 11 points to close at 26,536. The Nasdaq rose 25 points, and the S&P 500 slipped 3. Still to come on the NewsHour, what to watch for in tonight's Democratic presidential primary debate. Former special counsel Robert Mueller agrees to testify before Congress. What will he say about the president and Russia? Plus, much more.